What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate everybody being in here and being patient. We had some technical difficulties. I'm going to try to get those figured out for everybody, but I appreciate everybody showing up, man. Thank you guys for being in here. Got a good show. Definitely got a good show for you guys tonight, man. Lot going on in the Steelers world that we will talk about. First off, defensive line depth is being tested. Got some injuries. We'll talk about that. Another one, Skylar Thompson. Is Skylar Thompson going to be the quarterback number 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And then 3 guys most likely not to make the Pittsburgh Steelers all 53-man roster. I should say not all 53-man roster, but not going to make the Steelers 53-man roster. So there's 3 guys that I have got pinpointed that I don't believe that are going to make the team. But we're going to talk about all of that and more. So appreciate everybody being in here. Like I said, thank you guys for sticking around. There were some technical difficulties with the page. You know how, uh, technology, man. It is what it is. So appreciate you guys being in here. Again, if you want to become a member, you know how to do that. Sign up. We got some members that are in here. Mr. Sage, what's going on, man? We appreciate you. Thank you for showing up and showing out. Thank you very much. So make sure you guys sign up to become a member. Again, the all 22 got to be all pro level or higher to be able to get there. And then to stream every game to our watch party that we have for every single football game this year. If you're at the Hall of Fame level, you'll be able to watch that with us. So I appreciate everybody showing up. Let's get to it a little bit. So the defensive line depth is being tested a little bit. I talked about that this morning on my little walk, Big B's walk, is that it's being tested. We got word that Keanu Benton is a little banged up and is going to miss some time. Now, not necessarily going to miss time as far as the first game. He should be back, but it's an upper body injury, we're being told. But again, right now, the Steelers don't have to let anything go as far as injuries yet. They don't have to tell us exactly what's going on because it's still technically in preseason mode. So they don't have to disclose exactly what's what. Having said all of that, yeah, Keanu Benton's going to be out. It's going to miss some time. So we already know that Derek Harmon is out. And so it's pressing. There's going to be some guys that maybe are on the 53-man roster that we don't necessarily believe either would be, should be, could be, whatever the case may be. I don't know. The first name that comes to mind for me is Isaiah Loudermilk. The Steelers seem to like him. Look, I respect everybody that's in the NFL, but Isaiah Loudermilk has never really helped the Pittsburgh Steelers. You watch him down in and down out. It's like, what's he doing? Is he stuffing the run? No. Is he rushing the passer? No. So what are we doing here? So he's a depth piece. I get it, but there's got to be some other depth out there that can help you, in need. I'm just not sure that he's that guy. But, as with all things considered, who knows, man? Who knows? But what I do know is that the D line is being tested. Now, we've got some depth. We absolutely have some depth. And, some people may have questioned the YA Black pick in the 5th round. I mean, he's coming in handy right now, not to mention he's played very well. He's looked good. Looked good against starters, dominated against 2s and 3s. It's preseason football, so we don't want to get overly excited, but we got to like what we see. We absolutely have to like what we see. And that's the only thing. It's like, hey, this is what it is. We got to pay attention. He's playing well. Okay. So D-line definitely is being tested. So I've seen that. Big G is in the house saying Baby Hands got traded to the Raiders for a sixth round pick. I mean, I kind of thought that it would be a Pittsburgh Steeler, maybe Mason Rudolph, maybe Skylar Thompson. We'll get to both of those here in a minute, but it wasn't. Baby Hands is gone. But it is what it is, man. I mean, poor Baby Hands just can't find a home. Just cannot find a home. Um, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's kind of the scenario for now. A couple of quick hits. First off, Terry McLaurin signs with the Commanders, so all of that stuff as far as Pittsburgh Steelers being able to get Terry McLaurin, yeah, that's out. That's out. Look, most of us that think rationally never thought that McLaurin was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Again, he had to want to be a Steeler. He basically mentioned he didn't. And then the Commanders had to want to trade him. They kept saying they didn't. Sometimes when somebody tells you something, you should just believe it. And in both instances, don't want to trade him, don't want to be a Steeler, then just believe that. Just believe it. You know, the guy is ultra productive, and the Commanders think they can get to the Super Bowl. Teams that believe you can get to the Super Bowl are not in a hurry to trade their number one wide receiver. That just doesn't happen very often, especially right before the beginning of the year. So no, that's the thing about Scary Terry. Would have loved to have him, but it was never, ever, ever a realistic possibility of that happen. So never a possibility. Steelers made 12 cuts today. Ben Sauls got cut. Mark Robinson and Julius Weiskopf. Deshaun Jameson and Daryl Porter. You kind of thought Daryl Porter may have had a shot, but Steelers say no. Kyler Ball, Stephen Jones, Aiden Williams, running back Lou Nichols. There was a ton of people out there screaming Lou Nichols, and I tried to push back, but you guys fought me. So finally I let it go. Again, it's not just the Steelers that have said no to Lou Nichols. He's bounced around a little bit. He's not a rookie. So Steelers move on. JJ Galbraith, so I think we know who's going to be on the team. Now, if JJ Galbraith got cut, I think we all pretty much know who has made the roster if Galbraith is not going to be on the roster. So there's that. Max Hurlman and Lance McCutcheon both got cut. No surprise. I know a lot of people, there was buzz, but just no surprise. And then the one person that I think was an actual surprise was Cam Johnston. Now, punter Cam Johnston appears that he has lost that battle to Corliss Waitman, for the starting punter job. And I know there's going to be people that say, well, you know, we saw Waitman have a 40-yard punt in preseason, you know, but that's the thing, is that that's not the only punts that the Steelers have seen. Like, they've had hundreds of punts throughout training camp that the Steelers have had an opportunity to make their evaluation on. Here's another key point that you have to think about as far as punter is concerned. Punters are also holders. And if Chris Boswell says, you know what, I prefer Corliss Waitman be my holder over Johnston, then that's who gets the punting job. If there's a battle between punters and the kicker says, I prefer one guy over another, that's 100% who is going to go get that job. Not to mention, it's the best kicker in football. So let's not keep that out of it. The best kicker in football very well may have given his, hey, this is who I prefer. Can't confirm anything like that. All I'm saying is don't discount that going into the decision that was made. So you can't discount that. But those are the roster cuts as of now. There's still more to go as the Steelers get down tomorrow to their 53-man roster. It'll be interesting. But we'll get into this a little bit later, because there's three guys that I have penciled that I don't believe are going to make the Pittsburgh Steelers roster this year. There's three guys out there that are in question that I think aren't going to make it. So there's that. But yeah, back to the D-line depth. It's tricky. Remember last year when the Steelers going into training camp, we were all talking about, hey man, the Steelers got a lot of offensive line depth. They got a ton of depth. Well, then training camp happened. Guys started getting injured. And the next thing you know, the Steelers had to dip into that depth Early on in the season, the Steelers had to dip in even more into that depth. And then you're like, well, damn, the Steelers don't have any depth. Same thing is happening with the D line this year. You look at it. Keanu Benton banged up, going to miss time. May not miss the first game, but here's the thing: upper body injury. It's a pec, it's a shoulder, tricep, bicep, something of that nature. Those don't get better as the season goes on. Like, hey, man, I got a strained pec. I'm going to practice all year. I'm going to play a bunch of football games. It's just going to get better as the season goes on. That is not the case. That is not what's going to happen. So he's going to be compromised. He's going to be compromised. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. Unfortunately, we know Derek Harmon's going to be out. It got word. We saw him not or come up in a preseason game and get hurt. Is Herbig. Nick Herbig is hurt. Now you're like, well, hold on a second. What do you mean? Yeah. He said hopefully his hamstring is 100% by game one, or he's able to go. He didn't say 100%. He just said hopefully that he'll be able to go in week one. And what is it with the Steelers and all these soft tissues? Is it you or is it me that think the Steelers over the last, let's call it 2 years, have just had a crazy amount of soft tissue injuries? I just, it's just mind boggling on what's going on there. So, either way, to say all of that, they're dipping into some of it and it's become a problem. Now, somebody that actually is coming back, and again, outside linebacker, D line, whatever you want to call it, Alex Highsmith is back and practiced in full, looks to be in to be ready for week one. So that's a good thing because we saw kind of what the defense looked like last year when you didn't have Herbig, you didn't have Highsmith. It was a struggle opposite TJ Watt because teams just basically said, we're going to take TJ Watt away, and you have nothing on the other side that even remotely worries us at all. So you need the other side. Can't just be Cam. You need the other side. So digging in here. People, we got some members that are in here. William says Skyler should make the team. We'll get to Skyler here in a minute. Appreciate you in here. X concepts true. The league-wide trend or just this team? I think it's kind of a league-wide trend concept as far as these soft tissue injuries, man. I think it's a league-wide thing. It's crazy out there. It is absolutely crazy out there, people getting hurt. So, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, it's wild what's going on with these injuries. But the Steelers got to stay tough. They got to get guys back. They are starting to get other guys back at other positions. Calvin Anderson's working his way back. Calvin Austin is out there running routes at full speed. That is a very, very encouraging sign because, again, sports hernia, whatever the injury may be, that could have been a 2 to 3 month deal. It doesn't sound like it is. So he's working his way back to being ready for week one. So that's good, but little troubling, like I mentioned, just a little troubling with the defensive line and dipping into some of the depth. So, but let's move on here. Some of you guys have talked about it and in the chat. Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson, has he surpassed Mason Rudolph as quarterback number 2? So here's the thing that I would say right now is that Skylar Thompson had a good preseason. There's no doubt about that. You can't deny it. Outplayed Mason Rudolph in preseason against the 3s and the 4s. But he outplayed him. Okay. But here's the thing, guys, and I just want to try to reiterate this to everybody so that we all can clearly understand exactly what's going on. Mason Rudolph has had more opportunities than Skylar Thompson has. Clearly, he's been in the league longer. He's 2 years older. He's had more opportunities. And some of them were bad. Some of them were really bad, but some of them were really good. He's had that. He's played a stretch of games for the Steelers. Now, it was a small sample size, but he's played a stretch of games that was better. So that's the thing. He's had some real success in the National Football League. Skylar Thompson's had none. Okay? Skylar Thompson has had zero success in the National Football League. Has he started a few games? Yes. It wasn't good. So the amount to try to compare the two is ridiculous. And to think that Skylar Thompson should be the number 2 quarterback over a guy that's had zero success, albeit in limited opportunities as a backup. He has had some opportunities. He has not. He was bad in those opportunities. Mason Rudolph, true, was bad in some opportunities, but he also looked really good in some. So who would you rather have be your backup? Not to mention, another aspect is one of the reasons that Skylar Thompson had limited opportunities is because the first time he got an opportunity, actually the 2 times he's gotten opportunities, he's gotten hurt. So you can't just have a Skylar Thompson back there as your backup quarterback, and that guy has a propensity to get hurt. That is not what you need out of your backup quarterback. So while we may praise and we love what he did in the preseason, and he outplayed Mason Rudolph, if that's the route we're going, okay, great. But do you want a guy that has had some success and doesn't get hurt, or at least he hasn't here recently, because Mason Rudolph got hurt the first opportunity that he had with the Steelers. Skylar Thompson's had 2 opportunities with Miami, got hurt both times, played bad the entire time. I just, look, I'm not going to get into a big debate or a big argument about it, but Mason Rudolph is the number 2 quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think that there's, I don't know. I don't think that there should even really be a debate about it. So I'm not sure what the situation on why we think it should be different. I'm not, I don't know. But I'm going to read some of your all's comments and see what you all think, and then we can go from there. But me personally, I would rather have the guy that's had some success versus a guy that has not had success. Like none. But that's just me. Earhart says, I've seen plenty of what Rudolph has, and it's mediocre at best. I'd rather see Thompson's performance and see what he's got. If you don't like it, then okay, throw the red-nosed reindeer in. So just so we're clear, a team should say, you know what? I know that a guy's had some success, but we don't want to see that anymore. We would rather just throw a guy in and hope that he has some. I'm not sure you can run your organization that way. I'm just not sure you can do that. I'm not sure you can just say, hey, man, I hope and pray, and we'll just throw him out there and we'll just see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. But that is what it is. Skylar was drafted. Emery says Skylar was drafted Miami, who is kind of dysfunctional. Mason had success with Pitt, which we saw success with guys like Duck at QB. Context matters. I mean, Mason Rudolph had the most recent success, which was 2 years ago, and it was good. He played pretty good football. Even in the loss to Buffalo, I mean, nobody's going to say, man, Mason Rudolph was awful in that playoff game. No, he wasn't. He was fine. So, and you are right, Emery. Miami is so dysfunctional. Lord have mercy. But that's not our problem. Like, he played bad football. So whether they're dysfunctional or not, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to play bad. Like, if the play calling was bad, that doesn't mean that your reads have to be bad. So you're right. Context does matter. Dysfunctional organization doesn't necessarily mean that I have to play bad. But I get what you're saying, though. I get the point. 100% I get the point. So, but my thing is I would just rather go with the guy that's had real success in a regular season football game than a guy that has not had any in a regular season football game. And they're talking about trading somebody, and I'm like, Skylar Thompson, you could trade him, but I thought he was possibility going to the Raiders, but the Raiders decided on baby hands. So the Raiders decided they want baby hands. I would say to the Raiders, hey, man, after a few weeks, you want to call us about Skylar Thompson? Because you're going to see what baby hands is all about. I'm just throwing that out there. So, for Pittsburgh says, B, they're both turds, and Steelers are finished if we need either of them. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe they're both turds. They're both backup quarterbacks in this league, but that don't mean turds. Doesn't mean that. So, what's going on, Wild Bill? How are you doing, man? We appreciate you. So, Earhart says you never know what you got until you give him an opportunity. Well, he's had an opportunity. He just wasn't good in those opportunities. Now, different franchise, different organization. I get it. But my thing is Mason Rudolph has looked good. Again, his most recent tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the most recent opportunity. Because early, he didn't look good at all. So he didn't look good at all. So MG says, excuse me, he had enough chances in the NFL. Mason couldn't even beat out Will Levis. Mason Rudolph wasn't given the opportunity to beat out Will Levis. They didn't bring Mason Rudolph there to compete for the starting job. They brought Mason Rudolph there to be the backup quarterback. And that's exactly what he was. Now, he was awful in Tennessee, but remember, everybody said that the only reason that Mason was bad in Tennessee is because they didn't have any weapons. Now we want to hold that against Mason Rudolph. I don't get it. But yeah, he wasn't given there was no quarterback battle between him and Will Levis. Come on, people, stop that. That wasn't what was going on there. Will Levis was the starter, and Mason Rudolph was going there to be the backup, period, point blank. There was no quarterback battle going on in Tennessee. Stop. So, Thompson didn't lose his starting job to Will Levis. Neither did Mason. So, yeah, no. Yeah, there was no beating out of Will Levis. Will Levis was the starter. Mason went there to be the backup. And basically, the reason that Mason left here, he was a free agent. He was pissed off that the Steelers didn't give him a clear opportunity. Now, you could say, hey, we had him here and we didn't want to keep him. But sometimes people have to want to stay. Like maybe the Steelers said, hey, Mason, we want you back as a backup quarterback. And Mason Rudolph's like, screw you guys. I don't want to be the backup. I was here and it was the backup. And I never got a real opportunity. So people got to want to stay too. It can't just be that the Steelers had him and, well, they could have kept him. Well, if he didn't want to stay, but he did come back. That's another thing, is that we can say we don't like it. We left. We hated it. But then he came back. Just throwing that out there too. I don't think there's necessarily right or wrong with any of this. I just believe that Mason Rudolph is the backup quarterback, and I think the Steelers want him to be the backup quarterback. And as fans, we should want the guy that has shown to have at least some success in the National Football League over a guy who has had zero. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Mason Rudolph is 100 times better than Skylar Thompson. I would never say that. I'm not really saying that he's even better than Skylar Thompson. I'm not even saying that. All I'm saying, for my team, I want a guy to be the backup that, number one, he doesn't get hurt. Skylar Thompson keeps getting hurt when he gets those opportunities. And two, somebody that's at least had some success. That's it. And again, we can say that, organization and yada, yada, yada. But the one thing that I know for an absolute fact is that, well, Mason Rudolph had the opportunity here in Pittsburgh. He was never throwing the football to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle or Jonnu Smith. He wasn't throwing the football to those guys. I mean, that's just facts. He wasn't throwing the football to them. And somehow he was able to find some success. So keep that in mind too. Just keep that in mind. So, Browns keeping 4 QBs on the roster? No, they traded Baby Hands Pickett unless they're bringing another guy in. Because I don't think Deshaun Watson counts on being on the roster. I don't think baby hands counts. So thank God, but either or not baby hands, but Deshaun Watson. Baby hands got traded to the Rangers. So Sage says, Big B, are you sure Rodgers won't get hurt? No, I'm not sure he won't get hurt at all. So I'm not sure that any football player isn't going to get hurt. I mean, you're not sure about any of that. So, but you usually take the chances on guys that don't keep getting hurt, which is why it's weird. And we'll get to this here in a second. The Steelers seem to want to give every opportunity to be on this roster to Corey Trice Jr. Like, I'm surprised at that. I know he's got ability, but you literally can't count on him. And maybe something will be different tomorrow when the final 53 man comes out, and maybe something will change. And, maybe it's like, no, the Steelers have finally said enough's enough. But it feels like the Steelers are giving him every opportunity to make the team. But damn, like, how often do we have to let that go? Like, I mean, he keeps getting hurt. So at some point, you got to be able to figure out. At some point, you got to be able to trust the guys on the field. And again, nobody blames anybody from getting hurt, but you have to be able to trust guys that don't get hurt. So Emery says, yeah, that's not the point. Not sure what point you're talking about, but let's keep going. You don't place talent like Sanders on the P squad. You go trade him, get value. Brand's not putting him on. Oh, talking about Sanders on the practice squad. Shedeur Sanders won't make it to the practice squad. If the Browns were to cut him, somebody's going to snatch him up. He's not going to be on somebody's practice squad. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, whether we like him or not, I don't care. That really doesn't matter to us. But it was just like Kenny Pickett. Like, if the Browns cut Kenny Pickett, as much as we make fun of him, he wasn't going to be on somebody's practice squad, and he wasn't going to be out of the league, So he was going to be on somebody's backup somewhere. But Cleveland didn't need him, which was crazy that they brought him in with Flacco. Did anybody really think that Baby Hands was going to beat out Flacco? As much as Flacco's a statue and he'll turn the ball over, nobody was going to – I mean, he wasn't beating out Flacco. So, but that's just me. That's what – so. Stephen Cooper said, I would keep Daryl Porter Jr. over Corey Trice. Trice is never healthy. You're exactly right. Like I said, I just don't know. Like I said, it's not that Trice doesn't have ability, but when your main ability isn't to be available, that's a problem. That's a huge problem, man. And so far, we can't even really get a grasp on how good Corey Trice can be because the man's never healthy. Like, we can never see it. You know what I'm saying? We can never see it. So, oh well. We'll see. We'll see. Proven over potential, says my man Self-Made. You're damn right. Proven over potential. And that's the only thing that I'm talking about with Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. Mason hasn't had this long list, or he doesn't have this huge following of success, but he does have some. Skylar Thompson literally has none. So, and he gets hurt. Can't have that as our running or as our backup. He can be the third guy, but he can't be the backup. So, can't be the backup. Yes, Somber, you're exactly right. The Steelers got Pickett and they signed Amari Cooper today. They signed Amari Cooper. Now, granted, the Raiders, I mean, we don't play the Raiders, yada, yada, yada. 1-year deal for Amari Cooper. I want to know where the Steelers were. I'm not going to blame anybody because we could have called him and he just said no. But Amari Cooper to the Raiders, 1-year deal. Not sure how to feel about that yet, people. Not sure how to feel about it yet. So, Mark Cunningham says, yo, Big B, does Robinson get cut mean that Bruner made the team, in your opinion? 1,000%, Mark Cunningham. I think he proved to be a better special teams player, which is weird because Mark Robinson was pretty good as a special teams player. So it must mean that Bruner's going to make the squad. But can we call it what it is? More nepotism? Are we allowed to say that about him? I think we can. We say it about Connor Hayward. We can say it about him too. So there, I said it. People don't like it. Tough. So why does Gabe Davis hate us? Yeah, I don't know. But Gabe Davis, I was for sure that this weekend we would have heard, oh, yeah, he signed back with Buffalo. He didn't. And what it leads me to believe is Gabe Davis's knee still ain't right. I heard, well, he's going to Pittsburgh. He's going to sign in 24 hours. Didn't happen. Going to go to Buffalo. Didn't sign. There was reports out there that he agreed to sign in Jacksonville. I was like, he just got cut by Jacksonville. What are you talking about? So, there was Gabe Davis has been everywhere. He's been everywhere. And as of right now, nowhere. So I'm not sure what's going on with that situation. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Now, Corey says that Gabe Davis seems to be heading back to Buffalo. No, he didn't sign with Buffalo. He went there and came back, took a visit, which, I mean, the guy played there for 4 years. I don't know what you have to visit there for, but talked to him and nope, didn't sign. So, but we'll see. We will see. Yes, Lisa. Kenny Pickett absolutely got traded. Kenny Pickett got traded to the Raiders. Baby hands again. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So, moving on, I got 3 guys, man, that I don't think are going to make the Steelers roster. So, 3 guys that I think we're going to have trouble making the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. Number 1 is DeMarvin Leal. Now, I know that Herbig is hurt, but Leal just doesn't fit the Steelers. Like, I've been saying it all along. He's just not it. I'll say it. Hell, he was a wasted pick for the Steelers. And the reason that he was is because he's not a 3-4 defensive end. He's too small. And he's not a 3-4 outside linebacker. He doesn't have that ability. So they tried to make him into that. He is a 4-3 defensive end. That's what he is. A 4-3 defensive end. The Steelers just don't do that enough. So they don't do that enough. And I know we play a ton of nickel, but he's not going to play in front of Highsmith. He's not going to play in front of TJ Watt, clearly, or Herbig. He's not playing in front of those guys. And they don't even like him more than Jack Sawyer. And we saw Jack Sawyer have a little bit of struggles in preseason, turning the corner. But Leal's I think he'll be in the NFL. I just think he has to go to a different team. That's all. So I think he's just got to go to a different team. So, and the next person up, Beanie Bishop. Look, Beanie Bishop might be in Mike Tomlin's doghouse. You heard Taylor Austin come out and say before the final preseason game, basically the day before, he's got to have a big game, preseason game 3. And he didn't even play. And the word was he got nicked up. So he was injured, didn't play in the game. Look, the Steelers are another team that have done their mightiest to bring in guys to put ahead of Beanie Bishop. It looks like the Steelers are going to push it because Beanie Bishop, and I don't think he'll even make the practice squad. The Steelers might try to put him on it, but I think somebody will snatch him up. I do. But I just think the depth in the secondary and what the Steelers are doing, I think they're past Beanie Bishop. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. But I think they're past Beanie Bishop. So that's just my personal opinion. JMO says, yes, when Howard is ready to turn, Skyler will be trade bait. I think Will Howard's going to end up being on the IR all year. So, but we'll see. But I don't think Skyler's going to be trade bait. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But I would almost rest assured, unless Skylar Thompson gets traded tomorrow, which means Will Howard's ready to go right now, I would say that Will Howard starts the year on the PUP list. So, but we'll see. or on the IR anyway. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Just so I'm on the same page, if Skylar Thompson gets traded for a 6th or 7th round pick, okay. I'm not going to be mad whether he stays. I'm not going to be mad whether he goes. You know, if we're down to our 3rd string quarterback, we're in trouble. And so to me, it really doesn't have a factor on how I feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. Not the 3rd string quarterback. So, not the 3rd string. So, I think, says my man Wild Bill, he says, I think all the good bounces Beanie got hurt him. He started believing the hype didn't improve. I mean, apparently the Steelers must think that too. But, we just didn't see enough. We didn't see enough, and there's other guys that they just brought in. You know, when the Steelers signed Brandon Echols, I thought, yeah, that's in direct competition with Beanie Bishop. That's why they brought him in, to be his competition. And apparently, he's beat him out. So we'll see tomorrow, but I think Beanie Bishop is going to be tough for him to make the team. Last person is Dante Kent. I think Dante Kent's going to end up probably on the IR. So I don't think he's going to make the team. They're not going to cut him. But he was a 7th round pick. I think they like Dante Kent, but they're not going to cut him and have somebody come in and swoop him up. I don't think they're going to do that. I think Dante Kent is just going to be on the IR all year. So, which stinks. Don't get me wrong. That stinks. But I don't think the Steelers are going to cut him. But I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster, I should say, because he's not ready to play football as of yet. And you're not going to keep fringe roster guys on the roster that are not ready to play football. So I will say that. So Mark disagrees. He said the Steelers upgraded in the secondary. Isn't that what I said? I said the Steelers upgraded in the secondary. So, which is why Beanie Bishop isn't going to be on the football team. So that's where I'm at with it. Now, there was word out today, people. Jakobi Meyers asked for a trade from the Raiders. A lot of talk. I mean, Twitter was, as soon as it came out, first name that anybody put up, traded to the Steelers, and it was all over the place. And let's just be honest. If Jakobi Meyers came to Pittsburgh, he is the perfect number 2 wide receiver. Perfect. Would be a perfect fit for what the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to do. A perfect fit. Let me reiterate that. However, he's in the last year in his deal, and the reports are that he wants an extension, 2 years, $60 million. Now, somebody said, well, that's only Sport Track, because I tweeted that out, and people say, well, that's only what Sports Track is calculating. And I'm like, you're right, it is, but that's based on, his age and a lot of data, but it also, they get their information from agents and what agents are asking for. And 2 years at $60 million, come on, man. Come on. No would be the answer to that. No. 2 years, 38, 40, maybe. But that's a lot. That's a lot. But here's the thing. He would be perfect. So he would absolutely be perfect for what the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to do. Now, let's just say the Steelers, hey, you know what? Screw the money. We'll pay it. What do we give up for it? I don't think you can go higher than a 4th round pick for Jakobi Meyers. I think that would be foolish for the Steelers to go anything higher than a 4th, maybe not even a 5th rounder. Last year of his deal, doesn't want to be there. But, I mean, I don't know. They just got Amari Cooper. Are the Raiders really trying to win? Because if they are trying to win, I would make Jakobi Meyers play it out. If I'm the Raiders, I would say, no, we're not trading you, man. We just signed Amari Cooper. We drafted Ashton Genty. We upgraded our line. We've got Geno Smith. We think we can win some football games this year. We're not trading you. So, again, before we get mad at Omar Khan or Mike Tomlin or Art Rooney or whoever, teams have to agree to a trade. That's teams have to agree to the trade. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are not trading for Jakobi Meyers unless he agreed to a contract extension. They're not going to give up that kind of draft capital unless he's going to be around for a while. So they're not going to say, hey, here's a 4th-round pick for a 1-year rental. And a 4th rounder is different than a 5th rounder, people. I know we did that for Mike Williams, but if you remember, the Steelers had an extra 5th round pick to do that. So they were able to try to find something with that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't think the Steelers are going to get Jakobi Meyers, so I don't want to gaslight anybody and say, oh, yeah, he's coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening at all. So, hey, by the way, everybody, just wanted you all to know that we are having a pick challenge, a season pick challenge. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that, man. We'll throw a link here in the chat here in a minute, but we are having a pick challenge. And basically it goes like this. You pick every single game for the Pittsburgh Steelers starting right now. You don't have to pay any money to enter. All you have to do is click on the link and pick every single game before the season starts. If you win and you win every game, you'll win $250 in Steelers Almighty merch of your choosing. You can go in and choose whatever you want up to $250. So it's not a week by week thing to where, hey, the Steelers, I picked them right this week and wrong the next week. When you lose, you're out. And it's just that simple. So I want to make sure, because I think I had some information. I wasn't clear with my producer on exactly what was going on, but we got it together. But yeah, so you got to pick every single game right to win. Every one of them. If there's a tiebreaker, then the tiebreaker will go for the average points for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the year that they score per game versus the average points that we give up per game. So, and hopefully we put that average points per low per game for the defense, because remember, top 5 defense, people. I feel like I need to keep saying that so that we get it through our head, my head included. Top 5 defense, we're not settling for less. Top 5. 6? Nope. 7? Nope. 5 or better. Stop paying all that damn money for defense if we can't have a top 5 defense. Don't care, not having it. So, don't care, not having it. Speaking of season predictions, Wednesday on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we will be having my season predictions for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So make sure you guys are there on Wednesday, tuned in for the podcast. We will be going over my season predictions for the Steelers. So it's always a fun episode for me and the producer to put together. So I appreciate you guys showing up for that one. It'll be a lot of fun. Wednesday. Speaking of Wednesday, let me go over the schedule. Now that the season is here, we're doing this today, but we may have one more next week because next week is game week. So we may have one more next week. But other than that, here is what the schedule is going to be for the Steelers Almighty channel moving forward in season. On Mondays, after every single – well, let's start with game day. On Sunday, we have a pregame show and a postgame show. The pregame show, 15, 20 minutes long. It's an hour before kickoff. And then the postgame show, 15 minutes after kickoff. We are live right here doing what we're talking about right now, talking about the game, chopping it up. So that's what we do on Sunday. On Monday, we have our report card that comes out grading exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers did. So we'll be doing that. Tuesday is the all 22 of the offensive line, so make sure you show up for that. Added bonus, though, we do the all 22 for the entire football game if you are a member. So the members-only section, all pro level or higher, you get the all pro, the all 22 for the entire football game. That'll come out on Tuesday as well. On Wednesday, we have our podcast like we normally do. On Thursday, we don't really have a whole lot right now on Thursday. Just kind of a day to take our breath. We may have a town hall here or there. That's on Thursday. On Friday is our scouting report. Y'all have loved those scouting report podcasts that we do. We're trying to get podcasters from all the other teams that we play. Last year, the Bengals and Browns just don't want to cooperate. We can get somebody from the Ravens, and he's pretty good, but the Bengals and Browns, they act like they're too good to come on a Steelers podcast and talk about the game coming up. So we're still working on that. But for a lot of the games, we have people that are going to come on, give us their perspective on the matchup each week. So, and then Saturday, we're just getting ready for football. We're just getting ready for football. And most of the time on Thursday, because Thursday night football, we're not doing a live, man. We're watching football. So that is what the schedule is going to be moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys sign up for that Pick'em challenge because, again, doesn't cost you anything. Just pick all the games right and you can win. That's all you got to do. Pick all the games right and you guys can win. So watch parties on game day is for members at the All-Pro level the Hall of Fame level or higher. So if you are a member of the Hall of Fame, you're a member at the Hall of Fame level, boom. We'll be doing our watch parties on Sunday. So make sure if you're not that now and you want to be a part of that, sign up with us, man. Mike in Texas says, how does the schedule change when we play on Thursday? Basically, what it'll change is we'll have the watch party and the pregame and the postgame on Thursdays. So, because right now we don't do anything on Thursday. So, and then when we play on Thursday, we will have, I would guess, on that Wednesday versus the podcast, we'll probably have our report card on that day. We may do it on Tuesday. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But more than likely, it'll be on Wednesday. It more than likely. But we usually get that figured out when the time comes. And I think we only have one Thursday game this year. So, but that's a good question, Mike. It's a great question. So obviously the schedule when we play on a Monday night or a Sunday night, it'll be a little more fluid. Not really Sunday night. Sunday night will be fine, but Monday night or Thursday night, it'll be a little more fluid. So other than that, man, I appreciate it. We got a troll in the house. We'll bring him up. We love trolls. Lil Rod, what? I don't even know. He's a Browns fan. And why a Browns fan is in here is beside me. So, but we love trolls, and we'll take them wherever we can get them. So, we will take them wherever we can get them. So, I love me some trolls, but a Browns fan. The funny thing about this TK Thomas, this Browns fan that has decided to come in here, is in his entire life, and I would bet you by the ignorant stuff that he's saying in the chat, he can't be more than 25 years old. He's only seen his football team good one time in his whole life. In his whole life, his team has been good. And I say good, they made the playoffs. And they won a playoff game. That's it. In his whole life. So it's all good, though. It's all good. But that's what I got for you guys today, man. Make sure you guys show up tomorrow. We'll be doing the roster breakdown on the big show. Me and Big G will be at it tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for showing up and showing out like you guys always do. Like I mentioned, tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, me and Big G will be chopping up the roster and all other Steelers news tomorrow. Should be fun. Can't wait to see you guys there. Appreciate you. And we will talk to you soon. Aloha.